Garden Fever. I want to welcome you back. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming and stopping by and visiting. So I'm going to try something new this time. I've never done a question and answer. Over the years I've had many subscribers and people comment and ask me questions and email me. But I thought I'd make a good episode and wanted to share it with you all, so we're going to get right into it. Alright, let's get the first question out of the way. In my last video I mentioned losing my home and the possibility, and yeah, that was on the drawing board. I did manage to keep my house. Took some sacrifice and a lot of changes in my life, but I am going to keep the home, which I'm excited about. So I don't have to reestablish a yard, which is something that has happened several times in my life, which is why I did the last video. So just wanted to get that question out of the way because there are a few people that have been asking me. So first off, I wanted to start with a question that I have for you, the audience, or my subscriber or visitor or whatever, and that's the Vicks plant. The Vicks plant. I wanted to know if it was edible, and I've had a lot of people reply over the years when I first did this video, and links in the description for all these videos where these questions. I know it can be infused into tea, and I've had a lot of people talk about the tea, but I don't know if you can actually eat it and just like eat it or prepare it or put it in a meal or something and it'd be okay. So that's my personal question to you guys. Wanted to know, how often should I water my emerald green arborvitae? Some people have nicknamed them even the pencil trees. They're a privacy screen. And the answer to that question is kind of hard. It depends where you live, the humidity, how old they are, and what temperature. If you live in a dry area and you just planted them, I would say water them quite consistently, several times a week, even in the dead of summer, throughout the whole, at least 3 to 4 years. Sooner than that, if you quit, more than likely, if you live in a hot or a dry area, it'll dry them out. They struggle with heat far more than they do cold, so they can handle cold better than they can heat. If you live in a humid environment and it's still kind of hot, you could probably get by a little less with watering, but overall I would say in the beginning while they're young you should be pretty consistently, regularly watering them. Are green bunching onions perennial? I've had some people debate this. Yes, they are perennial. They will return. So all plants that are perennial are only perennial within their growing zones. Once you get to too extreme of a temperature one way or the other, they become not perennial because they die off in the winter or the summer. But if you grow them in the zones that they grow in, they will return year after year. They can reproduce through cuttings, root cuttings. They can reproduce through seeds. They're very easy to grow, but you can leave them. The top green part will die off and kind of turn brown and go down and seed, but the root will return the next spring, and trust me, they will, and they are up pretty early, and mine have done great. I have some that are 9-10 years old and are still producing. So very good question. Purslane, for my purslane video, we had this question asked, is the purslane stem edible, and how can you tell the difference between purslane and purge? Links in the description. It was on a video I did on edible weeds and why purslane is one of my favorites. It's very nutrient and it grows really easy. It grows in the cracks of our sidewalks. How can you tell? Well, the best way to tell is by breaking the stem, and if the liquid comes out is clear, it's probably purslane. If it's milky like Elmer's glue, it's more than likely purge. There are other ways. The purslane is more succulent, the leaves are thicker and they're smooth, where purge is flat, just regular leaves, flat, and the stems are hairy. They're both kind of have a reddish tint, but purge is hairy. However, there is a variety of purslane that does have a hairy stem, so I still think the best way to identify them is to find out what kind first is in your area, but break the stem. This one is on my no dig fence video. There was a lot of people interested in that, so I thought I'd answer some of these questions from everyone. Do I get a lot of wind and snow? Yes, here in northern Utah we get both, and we do get flurries and big storms of each. We've had some winds well over 100 miles an hour several times in my life in Utah. So yes, we get both. The fence is pretty sturdy. We've had people ask how the lock mechanism is on the gate. Mine worked really well. It locked well. Even when I didn't even have it clamped on properly, it's still just the mechanism itself held the gate. And that's with kids and pets. I don't have any big, large dogs to test that with, but my guess is if it's locked and shut, then unless they like just barrel right through it, it more than likely will be okay. So it's pretty sturdy for what they are. In fact, I got another video coming out here before too long here in the future where I'm going to have to move some of that because I might be building a structure in the future, and I need to kind of reposition the fence to make way for that. So I'll probably do an update video on that. The Calthea zebra plant. I had a few questions on that. One is how often do I get leaves? And you know, I've had it for a while now and it's slowed down a little bit. In the beginning I would get like 3 to 5 leaves every couple of months. Now it's probably more like 3 to 5 leaves every like 6 months kind of thing. So it's kind of slowed down the older it got. Maybe it grows to the size of the pot and then kind of slows down. That could be. And then the leaves are shriveling and there's little white spots on them. What can I do and what causes this is another question. It's usually underwatering. It's a very humid plant. It does like humidity. Usually I would say watering is what causes the tips to shrivel, and if I understand it right, correct me and comment in the comments if I'm wrong about this, but I believe the white dots, if it's the thing I'm thinking of, is kind of like a sugary or a salt type crystal that shakes off when you touch it. I believe that's due to watering too. It's dehydrated is usually what causes that. Oh, wisteria update. Okay, I've done 2 videos on my wisteria. A lot of people have watched the video. Some people completely disagreed with it. Some people think it's very invasive. It was on why the video is on. There's an unnecessary fear for wisteria. So they want updates. They want to see it. I'm gonna kind of work on that this spring. Mine are getting relatively big and I'm starting to get to the point where a little bit of care is necessary. So in my video, I think to break it down just as an update, I think it's doing well. I think the key to really having a wisteria not damage structures or things is to just every so many years take a little bit of time for some care, and if you do it properly, it really shouldn't be anything you need to fear. If you just are a lazy kind of gardener, want to put it in and just have it be watered and forget about it for the next decade, it could potentially get out of control and damage and rattle around structures and damage it. So I think it depends on what kind of a gardener you are. If you're super lazy, don't want to worry about it kind of person, wisteria is probably not the flower for you. The spider plant. And I get this question a lot about several different types of plants. The corn tree and the spider plant in particular. I get this question a lot, so I figured I better address it. And that's brown tips on the leaves. Now what makes this hard is there are several things that can actually cause brown tip in your leaves. It's not necessarily this does it or this, and it may be a combination of a couple things. So it's a very hard question to ask or answer. Water. I do think soil can be an issue too, so those are the 3 main things that plants need. I think most of the time it tends to be the water, overwatering, underwatering, or too little sunlight or too much or direct sunlight will definitely cause the brown tips in the leaves. I do know that fluoride in the water can cause it. Whether it's good for your teeth or not is up to you, but it's probably not very good for brown tip when it comes to your spider plant. Corn trees too, they seem to be very sensitive to those, sensitive to change and the variations in sun and watering will cause your leaves to brown, especially in the tips. So very sensitive. They're kind of sensitive like that. They're hardy. Spider plants are very hardy. They'll still grow and be okay, but it's not uncommon for people to run into the brown tip problem. I would say it's a matter of just kind of testing. Maybe get some fluoride-free water and water it that way for a while and see if the newer leaves brown. Or maybe move it to a place that has brighter light, that maybe it's in a darker spot, and see if that helps. Or maybe get it out of direct light. If it's in direct light, maybe get it out of direct light to a bright spot, but not direct. And then just kind of see where it does best until you figure out what it is that's triggering that in the environment that you've created in your home. So this next question is on my cardboard pros and cons in the garden video. And basically a lot of people wanted to know about the mulching part of it, because they felt, I guess a lot of people felt like if there was a lot of mulch on it, it wouldn't have had the issues that I experienced. And I just wanted to clarify and answer that. So yes, originally I did have mulch. Maybe it wasn't thick enough. Maybe people would have better success if they had a thicker mulch, and maybe I just didn't have enough on there. All that is possible. However, I still think that there's probably I think just mulching in general would probably be even better than trying to spend the time for cardboard. I think cardboard breaks down after a year, and I just don't think it works. It works, but it's just not quite as good as there's other better, like I was saying before, there's better methods. Okay, this one is on the Gochicola, and they wanted to know if it can grow underwater like pennywort, or on the surface. And it looks like pennywort, but it is not the same. It will die if you submerge it in water. This one comes from my habanero jelly video that I did, link in the description. Okay, they wanted to know if you can use something other than pectin to solidify the jelly. You can use gelatin, jello, cornstarch, and chia seeds, and that's all that I know that would still work. Also, along the lines of the pepper video, is it necessary to use a pressure cooker? Now the answer is no to that when it comes to habanero jelly, because of the spice in it keeps the bacteria down. If you seal it and give it a hot bath or a boiling bath, and you can it that way, it should be fine. I do pressure cooker no matter what. It's just like my standard way of canning, and that's just how I do it. Another question that I get a lot is how to produce more tomatoes. Tomatoes are a very popular vegetable to grow. I think the best way to answer that is to propagate the suckers. I do think you get healthier, more vibrant plants when you yank the suckers, but I don't necessarily think you get more of a harvest. However, in my personal opinion, in my personal experience, if you take the suckers and then you do it early enough in the spring, some of the first suckers, and you replant them and double your harvest that way, you'll get far more tomatoes doing it that way than just trying to get one plant to produce more. So that would be my suggestion to everybody. Let's give some tips let's take a moment and give some tips to some of the rookies. When you're just starting out growing, is don't overthink it. It's not really complicated. You just got to understand that there's a couple things that all plants need. And you got to understand that each species has its own balance of those three needs. Sunlight, soil, and water. Those are the three things that you need to understand. So you take the plant that you want, you're like, hey, I want strawberries, or I want carrots, or whatever. Or I'm going to grow this indoor house plant. Take the type of plant that you're trying to grow, and before you buy it, before you get it, actually look up those three things. What kind of light does it need? What kind of soil does it need? And what kind of watering does it need? If you answer those three questions, in general, you'll do okay. With that, I'm going to let you go for now. I think I'm going to do these question and answers more often. That way I can get back to emails and reply to comments better for you, the subscriber, because you are awesome. Can't do this without you. Hit the like, share, subscribe, bell, comment, all that fun jazz. It really helps me out. I thank you for watching from the bottom of my heart. With that, I'll let you go, and don't forget, let's turn this world into a paradise, 1 yard at a time, 1 garden at a time.